What's up, guys? Welcome to the 30th episode of the 300 Club podcast. My name is Gil. This is Coven.
What's
What's
going
up,
on,
bro?
everybody? Happy holidays. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. The off season is cooking. The winter meetings is wrapping up, and we got a lot to discuss today, man. What do you want to start today, bro?
There's a lot to discuss. I mean, in this episode, we want to go ahead and talk about what's going on or what happened in the winter meetings. Usually, that's an exciting time. It was not what I expected,
Yeah.
but no, more than less, a lot of things went down. A lot of rumors. Soto finally signed. We spoke about that in the previous episode. But yeah, how's everything with you, man? On a personal note.
I'm all right, man. Just prepping to wrap this year up,
Yeah.
write some goals for next year, and come up with a plan, man, to turn the year around. That's what I'm looking for. How about you?
Yeah, same, man. I've just been applying a lot of the stuff that I want to apply for next year. Practicing behaviors. I remember a couple of years ago, I was reading a lot of like self-help books. Now I'm listening to audiobooks. So, just trying to get better. A team that has gotten a whole lot better has been the Mets since they acquired Juan Soto. And then ever since then, they have made some other moves, a lot of under the radar moves, one can say. And they're actually pretty good moves that I think that they're making. One of which first and foremost was acquiring Jose Siri to play center
Yes.
field for you guys. So
Yes.
I know it's a while ago. We haven't talked about it yet, but what do you think about the acquisition of Jose Siri being on the Mets?
I like him. I think the kid is electric. I know he ruffled some feathers when he came to Yankee Stadium last year, but nonetheless, of course, I would like for him to hit better for average, strike out less. But nonetheless, he's shown that he has some type of pop. If he gets his head right, maybe he can hit 20 dingers next year. He can play borderline, if not Gold Glove center field defense. I believe he was a top three and also above average as a center fielder last season in the whole league. So I'm excited. I think he's going to help Soto be next to him in center field. I think he's going to cover a little more ground and help out. And I'm excited, man. I feel like he could be a great asset towards the bottom of the lineup to flip the lineup around for Lindor or steal some bases, getting scoring position. Now you have Lindor batting first and then the rest of the lineup. So I'm excited, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think this was a sneaky good move by the Mets.
Yeah.
You touched on one thing, and that was in terms of like, if he's had problems before in the past. I think it could be a maturity issue for him. And being
Yeah.
that the Mets have had so much fun within that clubhouse, I wonder, bringing the likes of Jose Siri into that clubhouse. Yes, it's going to be a little bit more playful. Maybe it's going to be a little bit more fun, but I worry about him, his maturity. I mean, he's about to be 30 years old at the start of next year. So it's kind of like, dude, you have to eventually start putting it together. I will say though, the fact that you guys have Brendan Nemo in left field and then him in center field, speedy outfield, they could definitely cover a lot of ground. And another good point that you mentioned is having Jose Siri help out Soto in right field. I mean, he's going to be able to cover a lot of ground towards that direction also. I just hope he remains healthy. I would like to see that batting average increase a little bit, as you mentioned before. I mean, great guy, great potential. We shall see. We shall see.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Another name, another sneaky pickup that you guys had was the acquisition of Frankie Montas. Now, this move came before Luis Severino left, and I think that once they signed Frankie Montas, I think that it was pretty much written that Luis Severino was probably not going to come back. But Frankie Montas has a great arsenal, great changeup. He's 31 years old, going to be 32 at the start of next year. Solid pitcher. The Yankees had him for a cup of tea. Last year, he had a 4.84 ERA. I would like to see that down a little bit now that he's going to be pitching for the NL East. But maybe having a full year playing for the Cincinnati Reds and then going into the Mets, maybe that consistency is going to help him out a little bit. What are your thoughts on Frankie Montas?
Um, it's not something that I love or shakes the room, but it's definitely a sounding again that it's a low risk reward. The same mentality that we did last year with Severino, with Manaya, and pitchers like that. We testing the waters. We tend to have a great pitching staff, pitching coaching, and the Mets are a place that they develop pitching. And if he wants a career revival, this might be the place. Like look at Severino, he just got signed and he got his nice 3 year deal with the A's. So maybe this is the shot he needs.
I agree. I agree. And here's the key thing about him. And when we acquired him in the Yankees, he had some issues with his shoulder. Couldn't
Yeah.
really pitch through it. Ended up sitting out pretty much all of the following year. I think he only pitched about maybe less than an inning, and then he became a free agent. The Yankees wanted him back, but coming from an injury, being out the whole year, and then following up with 30 games started, and he posted each and every time. I mean, that just goes to show me that he's durable. You know, he could put that one bad year where he was pretty much hurt behind him. Now it's all about getting those reps. I just hope that one thing that worries me about pitchers like this or any player like this is that when you're hopping from division to division to division, that can throw you off because essentially you're going to be pitching against different hitters each season. And it's
Yeah.
hard to adjust that way. There's no comfortability with anybody, you know? So I feel like that's one thing that might have hurt Frankie Montas. I hope that he does well in the Mets, and I hope that he finds a home with the Mets. I think he goes with that team, being a righty pitcher that can just post. While you guys have a lot of prospects still coming up, you also have Kodai Senga, who's your ace at the moment. Maybe you guys are in the market for Corbin Burns, but at the end of the day, having this righty starter at a low cost, high reward, probably, I think it's a good pickup. I think it's a good pickup.
And to wrap it up with Montez too, like you also got to consider he's playing in the pitcher's ballpark, so that could help more to his style. We have a better defensive outfield than he's probably used to in the last 1 or 2 years, so maybe that goes in his favor too. Something to
Yeah.
consider.
Yeah. One of the moves that actually worries me about you guys is the acquisition of Claim Holmes, but having
Okay.
him as a starter pitcher. Now, yeah, obviously I represent the Yankee fandom here on the 300 Club podcast,
Mm-hmm.
but one thing about Clay Holmes is that as a reliever, he was very inconsistent in terms of his control. Now, I will say this, a lot of his control comes from the sinker. It moves a lot. So sometimes it just moves out of the strike zone. And it's hard that when that ball is always moving out of the strike zone, any little bad adjustment that you do, now those strikes don't look like strikes. They're bona fide balls that you just don't swing at. And they're not enticing enough to get a
Yeah,
swing at, you know? But I
yeah.
will say one thing about Clay Holmes. It's going to be interesting watching him be a starter pitcher. I think actually having him pitch day in and day out would probably suit him best, especially as a starter pitcher. You know, you're not just pitching one inning, you're pitching three, four, five. You know, there's nothing more than continuous reps. But he has a very high ground ball percentage. As you see here, it's one of the top in the major leagues. So he does get a lot of ground balls. The thing is, he doesn't have a lot of swing and miss stuff. What are your thoughts on the acquisition of Clay Holmes and him being added as a starter pitcher?
Well, I don't love the move, but then again, I'm also open minded, trying to believe in our president of operations, David Stearns. Um, You know what? I'll give him a chance. I'll give him a small sample size to be as a starter. Prove me wrong. Like for example, we had Seth Lugo a few years ago. We kept putting him as a reliever, but he always wanted to be a starter. He got his opportunity in Kansas City. So I'm not saying that Holmes will be Seth Lugo, but you never know. Like maybe he needed a change of scenery and a change of style. Like you mentioned, a ground ball percentage. I feel like the Mets have a good infield defense for the most part, especially up the middle to get those outs that he likes to throw with those sinkers. You know what I mean? Maybe that
Yeah.
helps him also in a pitcher's ballpark again. So that I don't know. I just feel like again it's a low risk, low reward kind of situation. I don't think it shakes the room, but you never know. And the best thing out of it is that he's not going to be your closer if it doesn't work out as a starter. So you know,
It's tough.
yeah.
I mean, we shall see. I mean, my thing is with the Mets is that I would like for them to have an ace. I feel like
Oh yeah,
that's what's
yeah,
really missing. And
yeah,
it's
yeah,
very interesting that the fact that when Juan Soto left the Yankees, that our priority was pitching, you know? It's kind of like you guys are targeting hitters, we're targeting pitching. It's two totally different things.
yeah,
Um, but I still feel like they need that bona fide ace. I think Kodai Senga can be,
yeah,
but part of me still sees him as maybe if it's an ace, he's more like a 1B. He's still not a
yeah,
1A, you know? And I
yeah,
feel like that's his utmost potential.
yeah.
Um, but in the free agent market, I mean, I'm surprised that you guys are not after more pitchers. You know, I would think that you guys are going to be after Corbin Burns. However, you guys did have your meeting with Roki Sasaki today.
Okay.
So
Um,
hopefully, you know, you never know.
Well, yeah, you never know. Even though I'm not fully so confident in West Sasaki, but again, I could be surprised. I do agree we do need an ace. I wish we were in the market for Corbin Burns, but it looks like we're not. I'm not sure why. Maybe the asking price. Nonetheless, though, I did read a report that the Mets are actively gonna focus on pitching soon, like within a week or two, likely via trade, perhaps. Maybe Luis Castillo from the Seattle Mariners.
Great pickup. That would be a great
That's what they're
pickup.
looking into potentially. And I've heard some other rumblings of other names. So I think they're trying to situate themselves more like, are we going after Santander? Are we going to go after Alonso? And then shift their mentality into that because I guess they feel confident that they can get the pitcher they need via trade rather than like go so hard for Burns right now. That's what I think.
No, it's great. And you actually brought up my very next point.
Yeah.
And Is Pete Alonso going to come back for the Mets?
Yeah.
I'm shocked that for his market specifically has dragged out this long, and it gives me the impression that maybe it's either the Mets are very firm in their offer and they're not going to raise it much more than that, or maybe he's just asking for too much. But what are your thoughts on the fact that maybe Pete Alonso might not be coming back to the Mets, or is he, or do you want him back? Do you not? What are your thoughts on the first base position on the
I
Mets?
feel like out of the whole free agent market right now, I feel like he's in a position that's the most like up in the air for any team that would want him. And the reason I say that is because today I saw a report by an American League GM, anonymous, of course, and it mentioned that the market for Alonso is very. It's hard to tell like how good. Like they feel like he's a good player, but they feel like the years may not be worth it. I guess they're anticipating that he's gonna age horribly. They feel like he's a good player, but he doesn't have multiple dimensions where they kind of are a little hard on him defensively, even though I think he's an average defender at first. But they mostly feel like he only provides homers. Maybe and he likes the moment, so that's good. They feel like he comes through in the clutch when needed, but they just feel like he's 30. I don't know. Like he doesn't provide a contact enough or, any other attribute in the field. So it's hard. I think the Mets feel that way too. I think the Mets would love to have him back if possible. It depends on the years, but I think also sleepy alert too. I feel like they also considering going after Vladimir Guerrero Jr. next year, which I think is also their option too. Like, okay, if we don't get Alonso, we can probably get like a Carlos Santana on a 1 year deal, like, Carlos Santana or another player that could be a 1 year deal as well. Just go over next season and then go strongly after Vladimir Guerrero to pair with Soto and Lindor. I think that could also be the play. So I don't know.
I think you're right. Um, as much as I love seeing Pete Alonso on the Mets, I would love for him to go back on the Mets. But
Yeah,
I like Vladimir Guerrero a lot more for you guys. And I think that's actually a possibility. It's the New York market, very Hispanic market, is not far from Toronto. I think it's like an hour and change flight. It's
yeah,
literally right next door. And I
yeah.
could definitely see that fit. I definitely could definitely
And
see
think
that
about
fit.
it, like Vladimir Guerrero, like he sells tickets too. Like, Soto sells tickets, Lindor sells tickets. Now you add Vladdy to the mix, and Steve Golden is strong on attendance, and he's trying to provide a better quality of baseball to New York. So maybe Vladimir Guerrero is the move. He's also younger. He's in his prime. He bounced back great last season. He's second to MVP a few years ago. Like the potential is there. So what if?
I think that's a great possibility. I was thinking that for the Yankees, but as much as I dreamt, I never thought that would actually become a reality. He just
Yeah,
doesn't seem like the Yankees type of player.
yeah,
But I could definitely see him going towards the Mets. Maybe
yeah,
you guys move Yentos over to first base for that year too. You know, so it sucks, but it's just tough because I feel like Pete Alonso went with the Mets so well.
yeah,
But I mean, there's more possibilities coming, and you don't want to miss out on those opportunities, especially with the turnover that you guys are doing right now. And I mean,
yeah.
you guys are it. You guys are it. In other news, another New York team that's been making a lot more moves has been the New York Yankees. They went into full effect with Plan B after Soto departed, and as a Yankee fan, I will say that we did have a lot of holes, but we're beginning to fill those holes. And the first acquisition that we did was acquiring Max Fried on an 8 year deal. I think it's a modest contract. You have to pay the price. He's a reliable lefty. I think you've seen a lot of him when it was Mets against the Atlanta Braves. I just want to give my thoughts real quick. Love the signing. He's definitely going to be a 1B to Garrett Cole, and I love that. Right now, we can't predict how Garrett Cole is going to be.
Yeah,
He had his first year with injuries. He missed out on half the year due to arm fatigue. He's only
yeah,
getting older. There's a lot of mileage on that arm. So having a safety blanket like a Max Fried is I think is a really good thing. Also, the fact that he's lefty and pitching to right-handed hitters in Yankee Stadium is only going to help him out a little bit more. He's a pitcher that's been there, well seasoned, won a World Series. Um, I just think it was a great pickup, one that I didn't expect, but one that I definitely welcomed. Any thoughts you want to share on Max Fried joining the Yankees?
I think it's a good move, bro. I think it's a good move. I think it definitely adds to your points where he's seasoned. He's a seasoned vet. He got the experience. He's had a situation where he's been the ace at some points with the Braves. So he's been there when needed in big games too. Um, by the end of the contract, he'll be 38, but he's 30 now. So you try to maximize your window with Judge and Cole and the rest of the boys. I think it's a great move. I think it helps substitute Carlos Rodon's spot, because you don't know what you're gonna get from him now. It
Exactly.
solidifies not having to stress. Well, you guys traded Nestor Cortez, so that opened up a spot too.
Yeah.
You guys got Clark Smith, you got Luis Gil, so I think it solidifies the rotation better.
Yeah. It's just more
Again,
like I know what to get from Max
yeah,
Fried. I
yeah.
know what we're
He's
gonna
not a
get.
question mark. No, no. He's
And I feel like that's what we
yeah.
need is less question marks,
Yes.
more
Yes.
just players that
Yes.
know how to ball, dude. And I feel like he's one of those.
This
And
this gives me sorry, this gives me the impression of like when you guys got CC, then you got Burnett and Petty, like that three-headed monster. Like they're legit pitchers. So I feel like now you got Cole, now you got Freed, and then we'll see what happens after that.
yeah. And on a side note, he's a Gold Glove winner
Yes.
and he plays a position. And I needed him for Game 5, man. But I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it there.
Yo, one last thing though before we move from Freed though. So I've mentioned to you multiple times what's gonna happen with Strowman, bro.
I think he's gonna get traded. I think the Yankees are trying to move his contract, maybe attach a prospect to him. Right now, we're in a pitching surplus where a lot of pitchers are gonna want. I mean, a lot of teams are looking for starting pitching right now. I wore this hat for a reason.
Oh no.
I
Oh
think the Angels need to start
no.
making moves. I'm serious, dude.
That's career suicide, bro.
They have. Well, I look at it like this: like it's not what Marcus Stroman wants. He doesn't have a no trade clause. But what I
Ah,
was gonna say is, and I was gonna dive into it a little bit further, is that these teams need to start spending. And if you're not spending, then what are you doing with Mike Trout, man? Because that's a topic for another day. But
but
I
you know
just think
what?
that Marcus Stroman is gonna get traded. We just don't know where. And I think we're gonna have to eat some of the contract, which I'm okay with. But still, at the end of the day, dude, like he just doesn't fit the rotation.
You think he knows that?
He didn't pitch in the World Series. So, I think he well knows that. I mean, he already lived out his dream. He played for the Yankees, all right, bro, and you're done. And you're getting paid over 10 million, over $15 million. Like,
Bro, he's like
are you
$20
really
million,
gonna
dollars,
complain,
yeah.
dude? Like, you're a freaking millionaire. In other news, though, Devin Williams was acquired. That was a sneaky, sneaky pickup by the Yankees. He was acquired for our supposedly second baseman of the future, which is Caleb Durbin, and then Nestor Cortez. Love Nestor. Nothing against the guy. But at the end of the day, if I had to pick either him or Max Fried, I'm picking Max Fried every day and twice on Sunday. I wish nothing for the best of Nestor. He was one of my favorite players on the Yankees. He has great personality, great swag. He did a lot for us. He was a workhorse. He proved a lot of doubters wrong. I think he's gonna continue to have a great career, and I think him being on the Brewers is only gonna help him. But acquiring Devin Williams, dude, I am so excited for this. I think he has one of the nastiest changeups I've ever seen. It comes off like a screwball. He's reliable, has not had an ERA over 2 in the past 3 seasons. I just feel like this is a guy where, unlike a Clean Holmes closing out the game, I don't know how he is going to be as a pitcher, but having Clean Holmes end the game was always shaky. It's nice to know that throwing Devin Williams in there is he's pretty much gonna close the door. So, any thoughts on acquiring Devin Williams?
I think it's an aggressive move. I think it helps them. Again, you're adding a closer that has lights out stuff with speed and off speed. So we spoke about that in the playoff run, like the Yankees like that closer that is a lights out. Of course, Weaver stepped up, but now you can have this guy with Weaver 8 and 9. Like now you're adding something. He did come off an injury last year, so I would expect some type of arm fatigue at some point next year, maybe early in the season. Besides that, though, I think he's fine. I also would consider that there might be times he may struggle at times, only because he's played his whole career in the NL Central, which is arguably one or the second worst division in baseball compared to the AL East. Is a different monster. But nonetheless, I think he would adjust. I think he's gonna have a good year, and he might be an all-star again. That's what I predict potentially.
Yeah, I agree. Solid points there.
Mhm.
Beggars can't be chooser, but I still feel like the Yankees need arms that just throw gas still.
One more.
I would say just 2 more pitchers that throw hard. That's what it is. I need relief pitching that has strikeout stuff.
Get your man's back, Chapman, bro.
Nah, I mean he's isn't he in the Red Sox now? Nah. But I mean, regardless, even the way he ended his tenure on the Yankees, like not showing up, he
Oh
wasn't
yeah, I
guaranteed,
forgot about that.
so it's
Yeah,
like, nah,
yeah,
man,
yeah.
you serve your time and I'm done with it. I'm
He's
done
a
with it.
Yankee though, right? Like you could consider him a Yankee though,
Yeah, 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 for sure. I
despite
mean,
everything.
yeah, despite everything, he's still a Yankee. We went far with him, so no bad blood there, but just there comes a time where you have to put your ego aside. And at the time, he was really struggling with the Yankees, and the fact that he didn't even show up, it's
Yeah.
kind of crazy. Like you not showing up for work is crazy. But another person that the Yankees acquired was Cody Bellinger.
Yes.
And this is a theme that I'm trying to tell you is this is Plan B after the Soto thing. And I know that you were critiquing the Yankees a lot because we did have a lot of holes to fill, but Cody Bellinger. Now I'm not. I'm gonna be honest. I don't expect 30 and 100 out of the guy, but he fits our team so well, and I feel like his numbers are going to be juiced because it's going to be Yankee Stadium. But just the fact that he can play first base and outfield, and I wanted to ask you this because at some point in this year, you worried that maybe the Yankees were maybe too versatile, that they were playing pitches, they were playing people out of position, and you asked me about how I felt about that, and I said it's a good thing, having options. I think Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman like to have options. I feel like Cody Bellinger was one of those that can play outfield, can play infield, and he bats on the left side, which is extremely crucial in Yankee Stadium. Everything about him just screamed that it was a perfect fit. It took a minute, but we finally got there. We pretty much didn't give anything for him. I'm excited to have him on the Yankees. And now, weeks to maybe a month later, are you still critiquing the Yankees' ability of, the fact that they have a lot of versatility? What are your thoughts and opinions on that?
Well, when it comes to versatility, my issue was putting players in positions that they're not strong at when they haven't proven that they've been strong at, right? So in the case of Bellinger, he's proven that he's a strong first baseman and he's proven that he's a strong outfielder all the way back, all these years back from the Dodgers. So that I feel like that's a little different. But to your point, it does entice, I'm sure, Cashman and Boone. I do like that the Yankees have made aggressive moves, so Plan B. Um, yeah, I feel like it helps. I feel like he can play center field most of the time. I still would try to get a first baseman ideally. Maybe a Josh Naylor, maybe Pete Alonso, maybe Christian Walker, right?
I
But
actually want Cody to play first, and I want us to get
really,
a Santander. Yeah, to be honest with
and
you,
who's playing center field then?
Jason Dominguez, throw him back out there, let him learn, let him
So
learn.
where's Judge gonna play?
Right? I think. Okay, so I've been thinking outside the box, and I just want to add one thing. You're absolutely right. You did say that it was about moving players in unfamiliar positions that raised a lot of eyebrows, especially in your eyes. And Cody Bellinger is a lot more safer route, being that he's done it before. I think that at the time that we were discussing this, those players have not been proven in those positions. Like Jazz has never played third before, so it's like we don't know what he's gonna do. But he did well. I think, like I said, I think the Yankees like to have that versatility. Um, and it's like, listen, we don't run the bases well, but at least we have guys that can play multiple positions. Like, it's like, all right, if we're missing in one category, we're doing good in another category. So I just think it's good to have versatility. But you were right. It's about having players in unfamiliar positions that raise a lot of eyebrows. And the Yankees definitely escaped some bullets on that one. But more than less, I see your point and I agree with it. I think Cody Bellinger should play first. And I think that we should get Anthony Santander to play right field. I think that Aaron Judge, yes, having him in right field is a good thing. Preserve his body a little bit. But he's proven that he could be healthy, play center field, cover a lot of ground in center field. Why limit him to right field? Move him to left. So now it's going to be him and Jason Dominguez, left and center. You have Cody Bellinger in first base because he can play first base, and then we can have an Anthony Santander in right field. That's the way that I look at it, and I think that can make sense. Because
It's not a bad option. I just feel like defensively it would be better if Bellinger was in center. Personally, the compared to Santander, right? But I think it can somehow work. I do think whoever lands Santander is gonna have a major switch hitter with power. I'm not sure. I don't know. I feel like the Mets. I don't know if they want him, bro. But I would love him. I think. I think.
they're saying that he could play first. I've never seen him play first. Have you?
Nah, I'm more comfortable with him in the corners in the outfield.
Yeah, or
Um,
DH, like straight
or
up.
DH. That's right. I wouldn't if he's open to be a full time DH and platoon sometimes in the outfield. I would love him in the Mets, bro. That's a great fifth hitter, bro, in my opinion. And for the Yankees, again, that's a great four or fifth hitter, switch hitter, bro. Oh my God, that dude is a monster, bro. I don't know why he's not loved more. He's a beast, bro. He's nice, bro. So
Right, right. And I
yeah,
like I said, I don't know why he's still on the board. Like this is
yeah,
crazy. I mean, going into the winter meetings, I thought that we would receive more action and we didn't, you know?
yeah,
Like we literally just saw Soto, Max Fried, and that was it. But going out of the winter meetings, there was a huge trade that happened, and it was the Chicago Cubs getting Kyle Tucker. And
yeah,
I saw this perfect graphic. It's a video, but it's a perfect graphic because I personally don't know what the hell the Cubs are doing. I don't know. It's kind of like they replaced Cody Bellinger with Kyle Tucker,
yeah,
but you guys were still they were still more than just Kyle Tucker away from going to the World Series
yeah,
in the National League. And one can argue the National League is hella competitive now compared to the American League.
yeah.
So your initial thoughts on the Kyle Tucker trade, mine was, what the hell are they doing? And yeah, what are your thoughts on what the Chicago Cubs are doing right now?
I have the same feelings you had when this happened. I'm like, I don't get it for either side, to be honest. I don't know what the Astros benefit from doing this. I don't know if they're just letting it go and we're gonna actually rebuild now, letting go of Bregman and him, and just keep Altuve as an Astro for life. I don't know what they're gonna do. It's kind of weird in my opinion. I feel like they can still run it back, even though they're not winning it, but they can still run it back. They're not far off. The Cubs. I think if I were to assume, I think their plan is to trade Tucker at the deadline this season coming up. That way, they can recuperate the prospects that they got for Bellinger for the Yankees and then a Kyle Tucker to a possible contender next year. Now, the issue is that Kyle Tucker is an upcoming free agent after next season. So, our team's going to be more reluctant because maybe they want a contract extension attached to that. Are they going to roll the dice and gamble? Something to see. I could also see Seattle at some point in the deadline maybe acquiring a Kyle Tucker. They need that offense, you know. So
Right.
I think that's the play. Though if that's not the play, I don't know why the Cubs would do this. So I don't know.
I agree. I agree. And here's the other thing is I feel like their pitching staff is weak.
Ooh,
They have,
Chicago.
yeah, they have Shota Imanaga, and you
Yeah,
have like Jason Tyone, and I think that's like about it, really. Nobody there really stands out. When I look at this lineup, Ian Happ is a beast. I mean, there's a lot of people here that I can see on the Mets and Yankees. The Cubs have players that I really, really want. The main person that I want besides Kyle Tucker is honestly Nico Horner. I think there was a crazy statistic that in the past 3 years, he's the only second baseman that has accumulated a 10 WAR. So he's been one of the most productive second basemen in there. Um,
yeah.
but when I look at the Cubs, man, I just look at this. It's like, all right, your lineup is very well balanced. I will say that. But the pitching staff, that's the other side of the coin that you guys are not paying attention to. Maybe they have prospects in the wake, but I don't know,
I,
man.
I think they can rebuild more for sure.
And
I
you
do
brought
like
up a
the
good
trade.
point about the trade deadline too.
Yeah, I think that's what they're gonna do. They're trying to just stack up on prospects because if you look at the trade last year, they traded for Christopher Morel from the Rays, and he didn't have a really good year. But I think he's a prospect that, well, I don't know if he's a prospect anymore. He's 25, but I think he's a dude that he could still figure it out and he could blossom into a young little star at their base that can play outfield. You know,
I
so
agree. Yeah.
you got Peter Crow Armstrong, you got Suzuki. Maybe that's what they want. That's what they want to run for. Be a competitive rebuilding team, bro. Maybe.
And you know what's going to be a really good sneaky pickup too is the fact that they traded Kyle Tucker for Isaac Paredes, the Houston Astros did.
Mm,
And there was an overlay of Isaac Paredes home runs, and
yeah,
he would have had 10 more home runs because if he would have played in the Astros stadium. So,
he's in the Rays right now, right?
you know, he was in the Rays. He originally was in the Rays, and then he was
Oh,
traded to the Cubs, and now he's traded to the Astros. And
oh,
he's
he
gonna
got
have
traded
a
in the
lot more home
Tucker deal.
runs.
My bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he was.
Oh,
So
he
he's
can
one
break
that you
out.
can project. You can probably pencil in. He's probably gonna have 7 to 10 home runs, because he is a Deadpool right-handed bat, and left field in the I don't know what they call it now. It used to be called Minute Maid Park, but I think they got another name now.
Yeah,
But he's gonna hit a lot. So it was like one of those like sneaky good pickups where you got a good
yeah,
player and now he's gonna be maximized because of the
yeah,
park that he's gonna be
bro.
playing in. So you never
Yeah.
know. I wish that the Chicago Cubs made a run at this player right here because I think he would have been a great fit for the Chicago Cubs. But he ended up going to the Athletics, and I don't know why. Actually, I do know why. It was because of the money. Straight up. He wanted to capitalize on that. I mean, good luck pitching in the minor league park, bro. But
Yeah.
I mean, what are your thoughts on Luis Severino going to the A's? Do you think you know what the A's are doing? Because they were also after Walker Bueller.
You know what's crazy? Oh, Walker Bueller. That's a pick that the Mets could go for. Now that we bring it up real quick, I just remember Walker Bueller. Safe, low risk, maybe 1 or 2 year deal. You never know what you got. I like that if the Mets were to do that. That'd be dope.
I think he has his mind set up that he wants to stay in LA, but whatever. I don't blame him. They were just the defending champs.
he might get lost in that rotation, though, low key.
I
But
mean, it's one of those where it's like, dude, like they don't want you back. If it's gotten this far, they don't want you back. Same thing goes to Pete Alonso. Same thing goes for Alex Bregman. If it's we're approaching the new year and you still haven't signed with your previous team, they obviously don't want you back. But I don't know
yeah.
what the Athletics are doing. I mean, I don't find them
Um,
competitive in the future, at least not within the next 5 years or so.
when I saw this signing, I laughed because I saw a stat that was like, "This is the richest signing in A's history," and I'm like, "What, bro?
It's
That's
not a lot.
crazy, bro."
And Luis Severino.
A 3 year 67, what is it, 67 million, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Y'all gotta spend more money than that. But nonetheless, he got his bread. I wouldn't be surprised, bro, if he does not end the 3 years with the A's. I think he might get traded at some point.
I agree.
And I think if I were, I'm gonna make a bold prediction here. I feel like it is very possible that he can have a better year than last season with the Mets. And the reason I say that is we mentioned minor league ballparks. I feel like minor league ballparks cater more to pitching because there are bigger dimensions than MLB ballparks. So if he has a great outfield defense, which I think the A's have, I think the ERA could be lower, bro. And I feel like he could inflate those numbers to get traded. And
And
yeah,
find himself
bro.
on a contender.
Yeah, bro. I think maybe that's what he's thinking if I'm him, you know?
I like how you broke that down. That makes a lot of sense. Get your
Yeah,
bag,
maybe. I
right?
suppose.
Get your
Remember
bag,
that
and then you can
prediction,
find
bro.
yourself on a contender. That's really smart, dude. Like you really broke it
Yeah.
down. I was actually really lost, and you made a whole lot of sense. How do you feel about that? How would you feel about signing a short-term deal with the team, knowing in your heart that you're probably not gonna finish those years there? You got the bag,
Yeah.
but you're probably not gonna finish those years there, and you can like potentially get traded.
Yeah.
How do you feel about those type of contracts?
Me personally, I probably wouldn't do that, but I can see how someone like him want to do that. He's 30 right now, probably will be 31 next year. He came off the last 3 years is up and down with injuries. Last year he was his most consistent in the last 3 or 4 years. His value is at his highest at this moment in the last 3 or 4 years. So he's gambling on himself. That's what I think. He's just gambling on himself. He knows his next expectations with the A's. Nobody's really putting pressure on them. So I think he can get comfortable short term to get himself out of there and still get paid, you know?
Yeah, no, great point. Great
Yeah.
point. Are you gonna miss him on the Mets by any chance?
Oh, absolutely. I'm
Oh,
surprised.
really?
I thought we were gonna keep him, but I respect it. I don't hate him. I salute him. He's a Met for me, bro. Even in 1 year, he's a Met for me, bro. He stepped up
Juan
over the
Soto's a
years.
Yankee to me, bro. 1 year. He's a Yankee. He's a Yankee for life. Fuck out of here.
He's a Met, bro. Yeah, yeah.
Uh, so, in other news, we're talking about how I guess the offseason has been dragging a little bit, just a
Yeah.
little bit. I mean, for other teams, I can imagine. For the Yankees and for the Mets, it hasn't been. But one of the guys that's on the trading block, I wanted the Yankees to get him. Turns out that he doesn't really want to get traded to the Yankees. We're not part of that no trade clause list. But he voided a trade to go to the Astros. Um, I don't know why, because he would absolute feast with that left field. Definitely get some value back. They weren't a part of his no trade clause list either, but the Angels were. And again, I'm wearing this hat
Yeah.
for a reason.
Yeah. I don't know about the Angels. I don't know if he was I don't know what he's thinking. That was crazy.
Like his
Yeah.
list is crazy. Have you seen his
But
list?
he has the Mets though, so I'm we'll see.
Yeah, and he has Boston, so clearly he didn't grow up a Yankee fan. But but point is, like, I look at the Angels, right? They made a bad decision with Anthony Rendon. However, they are paying Mike Trout a great amount of money. They have a really bad farm system still. They have an emerging shortstop. They have a great catcher in Logan O'Hoppe. I can look at Nolan Arenado. I think he wants to go to California. I mean, I think specifically he wants to go to the Dodgers. But I mean, and I don't blame him. I mean, I'd rather have him over Max Muncy. Like, let's be honest. But
Mm.
I think he wants to go to the Dodgers. I think I saw a video of him taking ground balls, and he had an LA song playing in the background. So I just look at Arenado, man. Like, he's one of my favorite players of all time. Seriously. Like, I used to watch films of this guy night in and night out. Like, he's one of my favorite players ever, dude, for real. It's a shame that he doesn't want to be a Yankee. But nonetheless, man, I look at the Angels like, what are you guys doing? Like get good players for Pete's for Mike Trout's sake. Get good players. Like you guys should be after at least moderate players, the Arenados, the Showmans. Like have
Yeah,
something to build on,
yeah.
you know. And it's like nothing. It's
I just
nothing.
think I just think from the trend that I see from the Angels, I just feel like they give out bad contracts to players that don't help them in the way that they should. They take gambles on players that are on the decline massively, and it just does not work out, man. I just don't get it. I don't get it, bro. I don't get it.
Yeah. And I look at like this, for example. They don't have an ace. They haven't had an ace there in oof, so long. I think Irvin Santana was like their last ace. For real. You know how long ago that was? And it's like, here's this guy who was California raised, Corbin Burns, probably wants to pitch in California. Great pitcher. He's a horse, no matter what. And they're not even making offers for this guy. It's like the Astros are depleting. The Mariners can't hit. The Texas Rangers had a down year last year.
The window's open, you saying basically.
The window is open to get Mike Trout to the
Yeah,
playoffs.
and you know what's crazy? Like that you mentioned these names. Like let's say hypothetically, right? Let's say you keep Rendon. Let's say you keep Trout. Okay, let's get Corbin Burns. Maybe let's get Santander. Maybe let's get Bregman. And we over the tags. Why not? Maybe we get Glaber. Like low key, like now you could build something, like potentially. Like I'm not saying that's a championship team, but it's progress. I think you give me Child a chance if those, hypothetically those
It's a
moves
it's
like
a
that happen.
possible wild card, and then you never know what can
Yeah,
happen. You never know what
yeah,
can happen after that.
yeah,
So
man.
so there was like a reason that I was wearing this hat. Like I was like, I need to think outside the box. I need to think of like a team that's not making moves that should make moves. And these free agents make sense for them because they don't have trade capital. They don't have anybody that's worth trading right now.
And you know what's crazy, bro? Like me growing up, it's crazy we speak like this because when I was growing up, bro, the Angels was a lock, a playoff. Like, yo, the Angels are either facing the Yankees or the Red Sox every year in the playoffs. That's a lock, bro. Vladimir Guerrero, Erstad, all these boys, Colon. And now it's like a mockery of that, bro. It's like the whole 360 opposite, bro. It's crazy.
Exactly. Exactly. And you mentioned another name that makes sense for them too, and that's Alex Bregman, you know? And here's the thing too, is that you develop such a reputation of being this type of franchise where you don't invest into your players, you don't make the playoffs, that eventually players just don't want to go to you guys. And it happens. It's happening in the NBA, it's happening in the MLB too. Like it happens all the time. But I look at
Yeah,
Alex Bregman, for example, who I think he would be a great fit for this team. You know, like
yeah.
Anthony Rendon is just not playing anymore. Like point, I think he's gonna be released. It is what it is. But the
Celtics
Astros don't
prefer.
want to make a 6-year offer to Alex Bregman. Now, I have this thing right. Uh, across all the sports, when you trade a player from your team, like what's the reason. Like you see the flaw within the player. You know. So us getting Cody Bellinger, I'm like, there's something wrong with Cody Bellinger's game that the Cubs are willing to give him away to get Kyle Tucker. You see what I'm saying? Like
Mm.
there's something that they saw that they didn't like. The Astros, they're not the richest franchise in the world. I mean, they don't really spend money like that. But this is a player that they've groomed, won championships with, and the fact that they don't want to make a long term commitment to him it's crazy. I put him in the Gleyber Torres category. Yeah, to other people, Gleyber Torres might be a great player, but seeing him play day in and day out, you see his flaws. He's not a fast base runner. He doesn't hit for contact. Like he's not a great defender. So it's like, what flaw does Alex Bregman have? I don't think that he'll be a great mix for the Yankees because left field is way deeper. But it's like we need a third baseman. I don't know. Any thoughts and opinions you want to share on the free agency of Alex
Bregman.
Bregman?
I saw a report that he's seeking a 200 plus million dollars. I think he can get it. I think from what I seen today, I saw a report that the Mets have some type of interest with him and they're meeting with him. That's also could be Plan B if Alonso is not coming back. Maybe you put Vientos at first and have Bregman at third. He's 30. He can. I think he can still give you 5 good years left. He had a good year last year. I'm surprised he's not considered to be brought back. It's like he's washed goods, but I think he's still pretty good. He's still way above average. He had an OPS over 800 last year. So yeah, 25 home runs the year before last year, 26 last year. He's still a good player, bro, and he doesn't strike out a ton, so I love that.
Do
He
you feel
takes
like
his
he's asking for
walks.
too much?
I guess it's hesitance because he's 30, but I'll give him the 200 mil for 6 years if that's what he wants.
You'll
I would
do
do
it?
it. If I'm the Mets, I'll do it, bro.
I think so too. I think so too. I think that
He's a baller,
listen, bro,
bro.
he's not far away from being a Hall of Famer. Here
He's
he
a
has the
baller,
World
bro. He's a
Series.
baller, bro. Like you go to the
Exactly.
field, he's a baller, bro. He's a baseball player, bro. That's it.
Sneaky pick.
That's
I could see him going to the Red Sox. I could see him play Pepper with that Green Monster, bro.
nasty.
It's the closest thing to the
Woo!
Crawford boxes in the Astros field in the actual stadium. Like him playing Pepper with
Oh, I
that Green
like
Monster,
that.
right? Moving him to third. Then you have
Devers at first.
Devers at first, Story at second. I forgot who the shortstop is. It's not coming to me right now. Um,
Yeah.
then you have a pretty good outfield at the
You could
moment.
put Costas at DH. You could put Duran at center. Yeah, they could go. They could try to compete with that roster if that's the move they go for.
Right, right. I can definitely see that. And
Yeah.
that's there are players that are just Yankees nemesis, and I feel like he's just one of them. And it's like that's okay, dude. Like be a Yankee killer. That's who you are. So
Yeah.
just again, just something out of the box. Um, and it's just been dragging, dude. So I don't feel like we're gonna have any moves until probably the new year.
Okay.
I don't see any moves happening anytime. Like we're almost into Christmas at this point. Is there anything else that you want to share before we wrap this episode up?
Yeah, bro. I feel like I would hate that as a player. Like if I'm a player in free agency and it's this dry and it's like now I gotta wait for the new year and I'm still a free agent. I wouldn't want that uncertainty. I wanna sign. I wanna know where I'm going. I wanna prepare. I wanna start hitting some of my teammates up. I would love that, you know. So again, I would hate it being in this position where you don't know. There's days that there's like no calls. There's days that it's talks and nothing is in agreement. I don't know, but definitely something to watch in the next few weeks as things develop. Any last words on your end?
Nah, man. It's the holiday season. I don't really expect any moves. I'm happy that the Yankees are in full effect in Plan B because that could have been something else that could have dragged on for a long
Yeah,
time. I think that there's still more moves to be made on the
yeah.
Yankees side of the spectrum. I think the Mets should go after Corbin Burns. Or him and Roki Sasaki. I If I'm Steve Cohen, dude, I am targeting pitching, 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 pitching. I think Corbin Burns makes a lot of sense. I don't think that is. I don't know if he just doesn't want to go into the East Coast. I really don't know. But dude, like money talks at the end of the day.
Yeah, if we get Corbin Burns, I feel really good about next year, bro.
That's what I'm saying. It's like yo,
Yeah,
it's right in
bro.
front of you. So that's just
Yeah.
one move I feel like the messages need to make. They need to get an ace. I don't know who in the trade market they can get. Um, Because it's
But then
tough because
again,
I feel like a lot of the pitching people, a lot of the pitchers that can be traded, I feel a lot of them are coming from the NL East. Like for example, Jesus Luzardo, the
yeah.
Marlins are not going to trade him to the Mets.
He's solid though. I like him. I don't think he's a bad pitcher.
Right. I mean, he's not an ace, but he
He's
does
a middle
help. But I
middle.
will say this though, sneaky,
Yeah.
very sneaky. A lot of people are not thinking about this. Sandy Alcantara,
Oof.
Cy Young 2 years ago. He was
You think
injured
they'll let
this
him go
year.
though? You think they'll let him go though? I don't know if they'll let him
Duh,
go.
it's the Marlins. Duh. It's not even a question. Like, what? So I feel like he could be a sneaky good pick, maybe for the Red Sox too. Like there's a lot of sneaky things that can happen because I feel like we're in a situation where everybody's so neck and neck that now we're beginning to we're beginning to create some type of divide. Instead of everybody being so evenly matched, everybody's gonna be more or less, start differentiating. I can see him maybe going into the Tigers. That's another sneaky pick. The Tigers made a playoff run. They
Think
love
you
pitching,
think
big ballpark. He
you think
does
the
get a lot of
Tigers
ground
you think the
balls.
Tigers make a run again next year? Well, that was a 1 year wonder thing. What you think?
I don't know because I don't know their players like that. Like I just don't know their clientele. So it's just that really. Like I feel like there's a lot of things that can happen that's not happening. And it's like it makes me like there's so much, dude, that can
You
happen right
know,
now.
before we wrap up, there was another move that happened recently. I kind of didn't understand it. They traded Andres Gimenez from the Guardians to the Blue Jays,
We didn't even talk about that. Really
and
good
he
pickup. I
got
didn't even know he
remember
was available.
and remember he was a part of the Lindor trade from the Mets to the Guardians. So I think the Mets won that trade. There's nobody from that trade in the Guardians anymore.
I
Um,
agree. I agree. No, they definitely won that.
Jimenez to the Blue Jays. That's an interesting choice.
Dude, he's filthy.
He's nice.
He's
He got contact
he's
too.
so good, bro. He is so good defensively. I didn't know he was available, and I wish the Yankees went after him. Um,
But
because I
like,
mean he's lefty, plays second base.
does that mean that the Blue Jays are going to try to compete again next year, like on
Of
Vladdy's
course,
last
yeah, I think
year, and
so.
and Bichette is also a free agent, I think, after next year, if I'm not mistaken.
I
So
mean,
what are
this
they
is
going
their
to do?
chance. This is their chance. They have to, you know?
But you know what's weird too? Like the Blue Jays seem to have this much money available for free agents, but they just don't go there. So like, if Vladdy leaves and Bichette leaves, like it might be a tough rebuild again for the Blue Jays.
And it's crazy because they were willing to give Soto all that money. And it's
Yeah,
like
Otani too.
they're just confusing. I don't get it. It's like you want to commit to like these one or two players only and only pay them. And then it's like, well, what about the rest of your franchise? I don't get it. And it's a shame because they're just so unpredictable. It's like they get these nice players and it's like, well, for what? Um, I don't know. I don't know.
And lastly on Vladdy too, I saw a report that the Blue Jays offered him an extension for 350. He declined it. So I think I I think we're gonna have that conversation next year. He might get overpaid too, but it's gonna have to happen, bro, for Vladdy's market next year.
I
Like
mean, we'll see how
likely
this year
over
goes. I feel like Vladdy's
likely over
career is
400.
still,
Yeah.
but it's like, who is he? And it's you're putting all the marbles in one basket right now with him. You really have to show out this year to know exactly who you are. Um, I could see him in the Mets, dude. Like my mouth is watering. It's just picturing him in the Mets. Like, wow, that would be amazing.
There'll be a lot
Like
of
that would be
stars there.
great, bro.
That Subway Series will
First
go
base
crazy.
though. I
Oh
don't care
yeah,
what he
yeah.
has to say.
Yeah, he's
First
playing
base.
first.
Yeah.
Where else is he gonna play, bro?
Third. He
Nah,
likes to play third.
I think
Him
next
and
week.
Devers, they don't want to let go of third because they know it's fire. But it's like, yo, y'all can't play the position. Like,
That's
stay
that
at
Dominican
first.
shit. That's that Dominican shit, bro.
It's pride, dude. It's pride. Ain't nothing like getting a ball hit hard to you. Boom. You make a diving play and then you throw the ball to the first. But it's like, all right, bro, but you could dead ass just make a stop at first base and toss it over to the pitcher and you're good.
Yo,
But
I
I
know. I
get
said
it.
last thing to wrap up, but that ass is the last thing right now, right? I saw something last night that I thought was beautiful and I thought was dope for baseball. Ellie De La Cruz, he went to DR in his full All Star gear, and he was talking to the kids in the community. He wasn't playing like in the dome, Dominican League. He was in a regular field, with his people, and I think that's amazing, bro. I think it was great that he's such a star, so young. He's already knowing English. He's marketing himself great. He almost has 1 million followers on Instagram, and he's still humble enough to go back to his home country and his MLB gear and give back to the community and the kids. But I think that's amazing from him. I think that's a great way to expand the game and market yourself. And I'm proud of him, man.
I mean, the
Proud
fact
of
that
him.
he has almost a million followers or had a
Yeah,
million followers and he plays for the Cincinnati Reds, it's
yeah,
great.
bro.
The
Yeah,
game
bro.
definitely need player like that. I mean, we
Yeah.
shall see, bro. He could be a future Red Sox. He's not gonna stay in the Reds, dude. He's just not.
Nah, nah.
He's not. So we shall see. That should be fun. Maybe he goes to the Mariners too. I think that'll be a great pickup.
With J Rod?
That's what I'm saying. Like that'd be
Ooh.
great. Or the Angels. The Angels need to make moves.
Ah man, let's see,
Uh,
bro. Guys, thank you for episode 30. This is our
30th
30 episodes
episode.
in, man.
Yeah.
This is a journey for sure. Please subscribe, like, comment, share, leave comments below. DM if you want to see certain things covered on the podcast, and we have more to come as the year flips over in 2025. We out of here, man. We up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you guys for watching the 300 Club podcast. You know, I don't know if you wanted me to do it, but you
Nah, you good,
know.
bro. You know, we out of here.